Gita. So we would start with reciting the prayers. So you can quickly open the first page, introduction page. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Shakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Mukam karoti vachalam bangum langayate girim Yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Paramanandam Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So like all our sessions, this session also we would be starting with our quiz, Gita Rewind quiz. So just a minute and we will be sharing the quiz with you. So here the quiz is there on your screen and we will give you the time, and when we start chanting Hare Krishna only then we will be summing up. So whatever you have answered by that time you try to submit your responses. So we have received the responses from almost 70% of you. We will wait for 30 more seconds.
அப்பா கிருஷ்ணருக்கு பூ போடுப்பா பக்கத்துல இருக்காரு.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So with this, we will stop our quiz, and here we will share the results. So for the first question, how many type of aggressors are mentioned based on Arthashastra? So there are total 6 types of aggressors which are mentioned in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita.
So it's very important that when we are answering the quiz, please, we must answer the quiz with reference to the previous session. So whatever we have discussed in the previous session, in context to that, this quiz is there. We may have many right answers, but what is relevant to the previous session is what we have to mark. Arjuna asked Krishna why he is engaged in such unfortunate battle, and that is true. That was indicated by Arjuna by addressing Krishna as Madhava, the husband of goddess of fortune.
The next question, Dharma Shastra is superior to Artha Shastra, and the correct answer is true.
And next is reasons given by Arjuna for not fighting. So there were some very specific reasons which Arjuna gave. So number 1, death of the elderly. Family traditions will be vanquished, involvement of future generation in irreligion, women's being polluted, and one Sankara.
So out of all the choices given, these 5 are the correct choices. Moving ahead, Arjun mentioned he heard in disciplic succession that those who break Sanatan family traditions will dwell in hell. So that is the correct answer.
And then the last question of this quiz, Arjun told Krishna that he will not fight the war, rather get killed unarmed. Yes, so this is specifically he mentions in, I think, the second last verse.
Good. So proceeding further with our chapter 2. So before we begin, a big congratulations to all of you. We have successfully completed chapter 1, and I hope that all of you have attempted the quiz also. We gave you 2 options to attempt the quiz. One was on the website studygita.com, and for those of you, some of you were finding it difficult to access that. So we have also shared a Google link with you where you can attempt the quiz. So I am assuming that all of you have attempted the quiz, and if you have not, then kindly after this end of this session, please go and attempt the quiz, because the quiz actually makes our learning much more stronger. So that is the purpose of the quiz.
And of course, that will also help you secure completion certificate, course completion certificate. Attempting all the quizzes is important, so please do that. And we prefer that you do it on the website. In case some of you have any issues, then you can use the Google form. But our first preference is using it on the website.
So moving further, welcome to chapter 2. And this chapter 2 has total 72 shlokas. And these 72 verses are divided into 4 sections, which we will be taking over a period of 6 classes. So we will split it up because it's a long chapter. So we will be covering in 6 sessions. Today, we will be taking the first part of this session, crisis management. So we all know in the last session that how there was this crisis situation in Arjuna's life. He was completely stressed out, and towards the end, he actually keeps his weapons aside and he says that Krishna, I will not fight. So let's see what is happening next. So we will go to the first verse of this chapter. Sanjay Uvacha Tam Tatha Kripayavishtam Ashrupurna Kulekshanam Vishidantam Idam Vakyam Uvacha Madhusudanaha. So now this verse is spoken by Sanjay. Let me remind you that this Bhagavad Gita, it's actually a narration of what has happened by Sanjay to Dhritarashtra. So here Sanjay is telling, seeing Arjun full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudan Krishna. So this is how he's introducing, and we will proceed further and see the insights in this verse.
Okay, so the insights are as follows. One, we see that Arjuna's extremely distressed condition. Arjuna is in extremely distressed condition. And why is he distressed? He's distressed, he's depressed, he is grief-struck because he is having material compassion. We all heard that one of the reasons why Arjuna is saying that I will not fight is compassion. So he has material compassion, means compassion for the body. And what is spiritual compassion? Spiritual compassion is compassion for my soul and for souls of others. So that is spiritual compassion. If one has material compassion, he will definitely sooner or later land into Arjuna's situation, extremely depressed, distressed, and grief-struck. So this was Arjuna's situation, and Krishna is referred to as Madhusudana by Sanjay, and we see that Sanjay is pointing out that Arjuna, in Arjuna, this demon of doubt has arisen. And as Krishna is the killer of demons, so Krishna will kill this demon of doubt and he will remove this misunderstanding. So it is a very common understanding, common thing that when we develop some doubt, then we actually become confused, we lose our confidence, we do not know whether to turn left or turn right. So Krishna will play such an important role here. The Supreme Lord will remove these doubtful, doubts that have arisen in the mind of Arjuna. So we have some very nice life lesson coming your way. Bhagavad Gita was spoken to dissipate the lamentation of ignorant man. So if we are lamenting, and if we do not know whether to do this or whether this is right or that is wrong, then Bhagavad Gita is for us. So it will dissipate this lamentation. So much experience is there. We have experienced with so many people and in our own lives that when we read Bhagavad Gita, we attain a sense of serenity, a sense of peace, and a sense of happiness. And then we have a follow-up life lesson that material compassion for body leads to misery and suffering. Spiritual compassion for soul leads to self-realization. So now I have a quick question for all of you. So listen carefully. So you are on the bank of a river or possibly a pond or on shore of the ocean, and at a distance you see that somebody is drowning. So the hands are up and he's grasping for air and he's breathless and he's about to drown. And you're a very good swimmer, so you immediately feel compassion for the compassion. So you jump in. What will you save? Will you save his dress or will you save his the person? So somebody saying obviously rescue him, not his dress. Person. Okay, so many of you are saying person. Okay, good. So yeah, it's an obvious question, but the import is not so obvious. What does the thank you. What does the dress refer to? What does the dress refer to? Yes, some of you have given the right answer. It refers to the body. It refers to the body, yes. And what does the person refer to? Soul. Yes. So when the person is drowning, what is more important is his dress or body or his person? The person is more important. So similarly, all of us are actually individual living souls, and we are trapped in this body. So if we really want to show compassion, then we should show compassion for this soul which is trapped in this body. So our first priority is to save the soul.
So moving ahead, so thank you all for your wonderful responses. Now moving ahead, we have a very simple yet thought-provoking reflective exercise. So what we would like you to do is, there are a set of 10 questions, and nothing is like right and wrong. These are something which is talking to you about your feelings, and you have to just mark either yes or no. And you have to mark yes even like if it happens to you, let's say very few time, like not often but very less time also if it happens. So you have to write yes. Otherwise, if it is absolutely no, then you mark no. So here we are launching, and if the quiz the question is not clear, then you can type the question number and we can explain you the question also. It's a very simple quiz.
And please understand, this refers to that even once you had this feeling in your entire life.
Yes.
Whether it was your childhood, your teenage, your youth, or now. So if you have at any point in time had these feelings, so you can identify that.
Okay, so 50% of you have completed. We will wait for a little more time. Want all of you to complete. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So before we look at the results of this quiz, I'll also like to thank each one of you who have turned on your cameras, and we can see you, because otherwise you only see us, so you're not able to see you. So I'd like to thank all of you who have turned on your cameras.
Okay, now this is the exercise, and you would wonder what were we doing, what was it all about? So the point what we need to understand, my dear friends, here is that one, there is no right or wrong answer. It is a situation, and it talks about how do you feel in the situation. And in majority of the questions, like can you not scroll? Yeah. So question like, do you ever feel that sometime you do not get what you deserve? Or do you ever get lesser score in your exam than you thought you would? Or if you only had some more money, what you would have done? Or you feel sometimes that I'm not happy and everybody else around me is happy? Or do you have any regrets in life? So now all these questions, if in the entire list of 10 questions, if you got even one yes, I'll repeat, even one yes is your answer of all these 10 questions, then the point is that we are in the mood of lamentation. We are lamenting that only if this was there, only if that was there, only if my loved one reciprocated with me like that, only if that person did not get angry on me, I was so kind to him. So all that thing, if it starts coming to us, which means we are lamenting. And as we discussed, that Bhagavad Gita is basically taught to a person, an ignorant person who was lamenting. So who's that person? That person is Arjuna. So from this exercise, we have a concluding life lesson. Do I lament for things like promotion, appraisal, good scores, relationship, finances? I mean, any one of them, not that all of those things, but even one of them. If yes, then Bhagavad Gita is for me.
Or if I feel depressed, and if I feel anxious, and if I feel uncertain, or I feel sad, then also Bhagavad Gita is for me. Because these are the things which Bhagavad Gita removes. I will not use the word remove. Actually, it uproots it. It uproots, all these things in a devotee.
So moving further, shloka number 2.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kutastva Kashmalam Idam Vishame Samupastitam Anayajustam Asvargyam Akirti Karam Arjuna.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said. So now, this is the time when it is coming for the first time in Bhagavad Gita, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. So few of you have written to me regarding the quiz, the completion quiz. So out of the 25 questions, there was one question which was talking about who all have spoken in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And some of you marked Krishna also there. But note, my dear devotees, that this is the first time when it is mentioned Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. So Krishna was quoted there in the first chapter, but he had not spoken as of now. So here the Bhagavan is speaking, and what is he saying? My dear Arjun, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy. So Krishna started this verse, Kutas. Kutas means from where? Kutas tva kashmalam. Now what is kashmalam? Kashmalam means impurities. So impure thoughts. Krishna is talking about the impure thoughts which are there in Arjun. So he's saying kashmalam, it is impure. From where it has come? And what will happen to you if this has come? Akirti karam Arjuna. Akirti. So you will not have kirti, or you would get infamy. So let's see what is there in the inside of this thing.
So as Sugiti was saying that here it is written Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. So in chapter 1, the first verse was Dhritarashtra Uvacha, then Sanjay Uvacha, then Arjuna Uvacha. But here when it came, time came for Krishna to speak, then he is being addressed to as Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. So this word is very, very significant. Bhagavan means the ultimate in absolute truth. The ultimate absolute truth. That's what is referred to. So Krishna is non-different. In fact, if you read Prabhupada books, if you read books from ISKCON, it is, you would have come across this phrase, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So some of you were even asking this question, what does Godhead means? Right? So Godhead means the essential being of God, the Supreme Person. So that's why the word Supreme Personality of Godhead best fits Krishna. So Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Let's look at the significance of this word Bhagwan.
Just a second.
Yes.
So because some of you are asking there, where do I find the quiz? So we would be sharing, we have already shared, we would be sharing the link again. So all the questions regarding whatever we are speaking, we request you to write it down in your notebook. That is why we requested you to have a notebook. So kindly make a note of the question or doubt which is arising there in your notebook, because if we start answering, taking these questions, then the flow gets
and we'll
disturbed.
the whole session.
So we may miss out on certain things. So we would like to answer any doubts which you have, but we request you to write it down with you and you can come back to us later. Second thing, there is a person who's marked as moderator. So if there is some very urgent pressing requirement which you have, so kindly chat with the moderator and do not chat in this chat window. Okay, and third thing, yeah, some of you, I think Umesh has written there that Krishna speaking in first chapter was in direct speech. Actually, if we go back to first chapter, it was mentioned that Krishna said, but it was somebody was quoting, Sanjay was quoting that Krishna said. So it was not Krishna directly speaking. Krishna is directly speaking here in this verse. That times Krishna was quoted. So I hope we are clear on the chatting norms. So no chatting unless we ask you to start chatting. Anything important, write to the moderator. And the third thing is, please make a note of your doubts. We will come back to your doubts at the end of the session. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, so what does Bhagavan mean? And if you will notice that this is one of the most hotly contested word. There are people, when you ask about Bhagavan, they will say, Bhagavan, God, yeah, God is light, God is this, God is that. And some people say, I am God. So I remember many years back, we were having a Nagar Sankirtan on ECR Road in Chennai, and we were all chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and one person approached me and he said, you see in my chin, there is Om, there is this, there is that, I am God. I said, I just didn't react.
Yeah, I mean, that's a real story.
Yeah. So I just moved on, so what to do, what can we tell? So to define Bhagwan, Parashar Muni has given a very wonderful definition, and that definition is now on your screen. So Bhagwan means that he has these 6 qualities to unlimited quantity, which cannot be measured. So that is the, this is how we can identify. If somebody says, I am God, immediately now you have a diagnostic tool. You can diagnose, okay, his beauty, is he beautiful? Okay, average, so not God. That itself, you can drop the idea. So let's look at the 6 attributes. One is beauty, one is strength, one is knowledge, wealth, renunciation, and fame. So these are the 6 qualities Parashar Muni has said is, of Bhagwan in unlimited quantity. Now, we will notice that there are many people you will come across who are very beautiful, or they may be very strong. Like we have this Olympics, they will do weightlifting. In fact, if you look at those weights, the bar would be actually bending. That's the kind of weight they're lifting. We cannot even imagine that. But are they the most powerful? So there may be very beautiful people, very strong people, very knowledgeable people. We have genius scientists like Einstein and Newton before him. Or we may have very, very wealthy people, right? I'm sure you would know many wealthy people. At least in India, the most wealthiest person is, Ambani's. Or if you look at worldwide, we have Bill Gates, and there is their ranks keep going up and down. Jeff Bezos is there. Or we have people who are renounced order like sannyasis, or somebody who's very famous, right? Like in India, we have very famous people. I don't know, Amitabh Bachchan's voice now started coming on the phone when you call somebody, So he's famous. And then we maybe have Narendra Modi or Rahul Gandhi, or I don't know, Kangana Ranaut is now really, coming in a lot of news. I don't know whether we'll call it famous or not. So there are like this, people have some attribute, but can we say that they are all beautiful, or somebody who's all powerful, or somebody who has all the knowledge in the universe of everything, or he has all the wealth? Like even if we consider Mr. Ambani, he's one of the wealthiest person in Southeast Asia, but can we say that he owns Bombay? He has a couple of houses and a lot of property there, but we cannot say that he owns even one city or town. Right. So wealth or renunciation or fame for that matter. So, but God is one who has everything. So let's look at beauty of the Lord. So scriptures explain, and the devotees who have seen the Lord, they explain that every part of the Lord is beautiful. Every inch of his body is beautiful. Every limb of his form is beautiful. If you look at his eyes, if you look at his nose, if you look at his lips, if you look at his ears, if you look at his body, if you look at his hair, everything is exceptionally beautiful, right? And the best part is that the beauty never ages. Krishna's age is just pre-youth, and that is where he remains eternally. So when he was in Braj and when he grew up and he went to Mathura and then when he went to Dwarka, he always looked a young pre-youth person, right? So that's how he was, even if he was 125 years old on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Or if you look at his strength, when he was just 7 years old, he lifted Govardhan Hill. And even before that, actually, when he was in the arms, an infant in the arms of his mother Yashoda, he killed a demoness called Putana, right? She was a very ferocious demoness. So how just an infant can kill? Or when he lifted Govardhan Hill, on the left hand, small finger, he lifted a hill. Today, if you go to Govardhan, you'll do parikrama, it's more than 22 kilometers. Right, so that hill he picked up on the left hand with a small finger for 7 days and 7 nights. Right, and then we have talk about knowledge. So Krishna resides in your heart, my heart, all living entities' heart. Right, and he knows everything, whatever is happening. He knows the past, he knows the future. So we are talking about wealth. So of course, nobody can claim he owns a town or a city, but to talk about a country or a continent or the planet. But Krishna has manifested unlimited such planets, unlimited such universes, and all the material world is just 1/4 of this creation. 3/4 of the creation is spiritual creation, and all of that has manifested from Lord's energy. So what we talk about wealth, renunciation, Krishna is doing so much, but he is not attached to what he does. He's seated as if he's neutral. He creates this whole universe. He gives us these amazing bodies, these machines in which we are living and doing so many things. But he does not desire any fruit of his action. So he's completely renounced, right? And fame. Now, some of you may say, oh, Krishna, not many people know Krishna. In India, people may know, but if you go to Western countries here and there, many people do not know about Krishna. Okay, but do they know about God? Do they have some conception of God? So actually God refers to the Supreme Lord. They may not know the name, but they have the conception of God. In fact, even an atheist, he acknowledges God. Why? Because he says there is no God. So just by making that statement, he's acknowledging the presence of God, right? So that way, Lord is famous, not only in this planet. In fact, on other higher, lower planetary systems, he's actually known as the Supreme Lord, Vishnu. So all the devatas worship him. We know that whenever they have a problem, they have one person to approach. So they approach Brahmaji, and then Brahma, not able to solve the problem, then he will approach that Kshirodaksha Vishnu, and he'll pray to him that please solve this problem. So that's how we see that all are these 6 qualities of Bhagavan. So this is a diagnostic tool. Anyone who claims to be God, run this diagnostic tool and check. Right, so of course he will fail in the first one. Forget, you don't have to go with the about the balance 5.
And all these 6 qualities of Bhagwan, it does not reduce with time. Like how our wealth or our strength or our beauty, everything, it increases, it decreases. But Krishna's, it never decreases. So it is not that Krishna was looking very beautiful today and tomorrow he'll not look so beautiful because he's aging. So it's not like that. Krishna does not age. In fact, Krishna is Navayauvan. He's Jugal Kishore. He's always in this Kishore Avastha. He's so youthful. He stops aging beyond 16.
Yeah, actually, some people have this conception that God is an old person. Old with white beard and all. No, God is not old. He is the most beautiful person in the entire existence.
So moving ahead, so what we discussed was about Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, that Krishna said. Now we will see that what did Krishna say. We will try and just a moment. Yeah. So we have a reflective exercise here. So what we want you to do is, we are doing something about our thoughts. This exercise is about the thoughts, and you are supposed to choose the most appropriate option which holds true for you. So there is, again, I'll repeat, there is no right and wrong option here. Please be honest, because whatever you will send there, we do not get your name. So don't think that we get to know that who's typing that. So you have to be like tweak your responses. So you be very honest.
And don't give an answer which you think is right. Don't give an answer which you think is right.
Yeah, or you should be doing that.
you should
Not,
be doing
we are not asking for ideal. We are asking for what is your response. So here it goes, just 4 questions, but think carefully and then mark the answers. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we will end the quiz, and here goes the result. So the first question was, after watching an insanely horror movie, and then there were 4 options given as what you would be doing. So if we see 17 of you, like 8% of you, okay, no, where was that? Okay, so 43% of you watch it and forget it, but balance 47%.
No, 57.
57. Oh yes, 57% of us get affected by the movie. The ways may be different, like some of us may feel scared in dark areas and at night. Some of us feel scared in being alone. Some of us feel as if somebody is watching us from behind. So all this, why is it happening is because we are impacted or affected by the movie. So this way we can conclude that whatever we watch, it has an impact on our thoughts. So here Krishna is talking to Arjun about impurities in his thought. So this exercise is to identify from what all sources can the impurity come.
Or we are affected. What all affects us?
What all affects us?
So second question is, after reading a sweet nectarine pastime about Krishna from Srimad Bhagavatam, both A and B, which means we either feel both. You feel that the faith has increased and you want to read more and more and meet Krishna.
So which means that only 3% of you are not affected by reading Bhagavatam, but 97% of you get affected. So how are you affected? By the type of book you read. So you're reading Bhagavatam, so the effect is positive. If you read some other thing like a mystery novel, there would be a different impact on you. If you read a romantic novel, there may be a different impact on you. But the point is that books, the type of books we read, affect our consciousness.
After meeting a pessimistic who always talks negative thing, your friend, you suddenly start feeling good that you didn't see this friend often. So if you look at normal people who are saying that you're just normal and regular, that's 36%. So that means
64%. So
yeah.
64% of us have marked here that we get affected by the type of people we meet. So see, these are the different sources through which our consciousness gets affected or impacted. The fourth one is while visiting a shopping mall. So okay, 33, 10, 43, 44% of you do not finish your work, but you start doing something else. So we do go to the mall to do something, but we get impacted, get allured, our senses get caught up into certain things, and hence we lose the purpose for what we have come, and we start enjoying more. So the whole point is that the type of movie we watch, the type of books we read, the type of association we have, and the type of activities we do, all these things actually in a way is impacting our consciousness. So some people may find that, okay, I get more impacted by watching a movie and less by going to the mall. Whereas some people may get more affected by some other thing and not by the first one. So, but there are so many things which impact our consciousness. So coming back to this shloka number 2, so we have already discussed the first point, that is significance of Bhagwan. The second point is Krishna is surprised. Why is God surprised? Krishna is saying, Kutah, from where? So he is wondering from where, why my friend is talking like this. Now Krishna knows Arjun very well and they are very, very good friends. So Krishna was wondering that what has happened, why Arjun is talking like this. So first thing is, Krishna is very surprised at Arjuna's compassion or sudden outburst of compassion. See, the battle is just about to begin. Everyone was in their position. Like you have taken position, it's about to start, and then you are saying, I'll not fight. And that to somebody like Arjun, who's like the most powerful warrior of his time. And he's saying, I will not fight. So first thing is, Krishna is very surprised. After that, what he's saying? Kashmalam, these impurities. Now, what is impurity? So I may have a clean glass of water, and if some dirt gets added in this clean glass of water, then I would say my pure water has become impure. So similarly, our thoughts, our mind, our senses, it can be pure and it can get affected by external things and it becomes impure. So like how we did an exercise to demonstrate as how our senses get affected. So there are various channels, external means through which our mind, our intelligence, our senses get affected, and as a result our thoughts get corrupted. So Krishna is asking here Arjuna, from where these impure thoughts have come upon you. When he is talking like this, what is he referring to? He is talking about Arjun's misplaced compassion and the way Arjun was lamenting. So it was not normal, it was not proper for a Kshatriya, for a warrior to behave like that, but yet Arjun was behaving like that. Then next, Krishna uses a word for Arjun, which is Aryan. So Aryan refers to a person who knows the value of life, who understands that he has certain spiritual goals to accomplish in this life. So Krishna was telling that you are an Aryan. You know your goal of life. Then from where? Why are you behaving like this? Why are you talking like this? And then he is explaining Arjun the result of such thought. So he is saying that this would not lead you to fame, but to infamy. He's saying akirti. So it will bring you. So kirti is glory. So akirti is opposite of glory, which is infamy. So Krishna tells that it will bring you infamy. You will not go to heavenly planets, but you will get lot of infame because of this. So here is the next verse. Klaibyam masmaga mahapartha naitattvai upapadyate kshudram hridaya daurbalyam tyaktvotishtha parantapa. Klaibyam. Now klaibyam means impotence. Now, impotence is quite a derogatory word. So here Krishna is telling, O son of Pritha, Do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart. Hridaya Daurbalyam. Hridaya is heart and Daurbalyam is petty weakness. So give up the petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. So let's see what is there in this verse.
So one is the degrading importance. Why? Because as Sugiti was also talking about, what is the Kshatriya spirit? Kshatriya spirit is that if a Kshatriya is challenged, then he should accept that challenge. And if he does not accept the challenge, then he is considered as an impotent. You know, he's not powerful enough in his mind and in his body. So that's why he's not taking the challenge. So we see that Kauravas had constantly for years together, they have tried to harass Pandavas in all possible ways. And finally, the point came that they were challenged to a war, that if you want your kingdom, if you want to continue as a Kshatriya, then you have to fight this war with us. So that was the challenge that was thrown on Pandavas. Now, Arjuna is standing here after accepting the challenge, and so much preparation had gone in. 1,000 crores of warriors had assembled. Now Arjuna is saying, I don't want to fight, So completely it will appear that, he has become an important man, right? So, and especially Krishna was also surprised that you are my friend. In my presence, you are speaking like this. Now, Krishna was known as the most powerful personality. Most of them knew that he is Supreme Lord. And Lord is saying that you have me as your friend and you're talking like this. What's happened to you, right? So in spite of these credits, he does not want to fight. So that is why the Krishna is using this word degrading importance. And why is he saying that you have weakness of heart? Krishna is not appreciating the compassion which Arjuna is referring to, that compassion that he has for his family members. Krishna is not subscribing to that. Krishna is saying that is not compassion, it is weakness of heart. You are attached to their bodies. You are not considering the benefiting their souls, but you are so much attached to their bodies. So therefore, that is false magnanimity towards Bhishma, towards Drona. So that is what Krishna is saying.
So the Acharyas also explain that here the word impotence, actually Krishna is purposely calling like that. He wants to arise the Kshatriya spirit of Arjun. So now Arjun is saying, I will not fight, and he's dropping the weapons. So Krishna is telling him, calling him that you are behaving like a eunuch. You are behaving like an impotent person. So what would happen is that would flare up his anger and he'll say, no, I will fight. I'm not an impotent. So he's trying to use the words very carefully. And with this, we get a learning for us that choose your words carefully, as words have deeper impact than one can imagine. So the words have actually power. The words, what we speak, it's very, very powerful. So going to the next set of verses, shloka number 4 to 6.
Arjuna said, O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counteract with arrows in battle men like Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of my worship? It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. So here we see that how Arjuna is actually getting back to Krishna. He's saying that you called me an impotent. So his that Kshatriya spirit has been ignited, and so Arjuna is getting back to Krishna. You are telling me to kill people like Bhishma and Drona. They are worthy of my worship. Krishna, would you kill your guru, or would you kill your grandfather? So you are not faced with such a challenge. I am facing such a challenge. So you are telling me to do. Would you do? So like that, he gets back to Krishna. And then he is saying that if you look at the last towards the later verse, he's saying that he's not able to decide what to do, whether I should conquer them or be conquered by them. I don't know what to do, right? So let's look at the insights.
So there, these three verses, and we get three significant learning here. So in the first verse, what we were talking about, Krishna, Arjun is giving a counter argument that will Krishna, will you do? How is that coming out? Because in that verse, if we read the Sanskrit, so Arjun uses a word Ari Sudan. So he is calling Krishna or addressing Krishna as Ari Sudan. So Ari means the enemies or the demons, and Sudan means the killer. So he is telling Krishna, you are the killer of your enemies. You are not the killer of your grandfather or your teacher, and you are expecting me to do that. So that is the first thing. Second verse. Now, second verse, Arjun is telling about his plan B, what other plan he has. Can I? So, like if we see in this verse, he is talking that it would be better to live in this world by begging. So, this is his plan B. He's telling, he's thinking that Krishna, I will not fight. What I'll do, I will live by begging. So, this is his second plan which he is giving. So, this was the plan B. And then the third is Arjun's indecision. So, in the sixth verse, Arjun is contemplating now what all options he has. So option number one, Arjun fights and he wins. In that situation, he said, but it is all tainted with blood, so I'll not be happy. Option number two, Arjun fights, he loses. So if he loses, that definitely means he dies. So if he dies, it's not good for him. He doesn't want to die. Option number three, he does not fight. And what he does, he lives by begging. So these three options are there. Either he kill his relatives, or he die himself, or he lives by begging. And all these three options, none of the above Arjun wants to choose. So what is the situation? Arjun is in complete indecisiveness. He is not able to decide what is right, what is wrong. So in the first chapter, we heard about 4 reasons, C, D, E, and F. And here in the sixth verse, Arjun is giving his final reason for not fighting because he is not able to decide. So that is the fifth reason. So total Arjun gave 5 reasons for not fighting. And here we have a life lesson.
Personal, professional, or relationship issues, Arjuna was facing all. Hence, whenever in doubt, consult Bhagavad Gita. So many people have this misconception. When we distribute Bhagavad Gita, when we used to stand on the roadside or go to a temple or go to a mall and we would distribute Bhagavad Gita, you should buy Bhagavad Gita, read Bhagavad Gita. People would say, I don't have time. Or people say, this is not the time. I'm still young. I will grow old and I will read. But actually we miss out that Bhagavad Gita has an impact on our personal life, on our professional life, and on all the different types of relationships that we have. So it is not just that this book is about my spiritual life and it has nothing to do with everything else that I do. If you look at Arjun, so that is the next life lesson we will look at. So whether it is our personal, professional relationship, all aspects of life, Bhagavad Gita has a very profound impact.
So before we proceed further, here I am getting a question that how 5 reasons. So I will repeat so that all of us are very clear. The first reason is compassion. So compassion. Second reason was given was enjoyment, that how he would be able to enjoy. The third reason what Arjun gives is fear of sinful reaction. The fourth reason what he gives is destruction of dynasty. And the fifth reason what he is giving now is indecision. He is not able to decide. So that is the fifth reason, that I will not fight because I'm not sure whether I should fight or not. So he is not able to take a decision. So that is the fifth reason. So hope it is clear. So we will go to the next verse. So as Prabhu was saying, that how Arjun is facing problem in his personal life, in his professional life, and the relationship issue. Because he has these relationships, the teachers, the uncles, and everybody else. He was fighting the biggest battle of his career. So it was a professional issue. So why is Arjun in this condition? Arjuna's condition illustrates the result of selfish consciousness. Because he is thinking, so we discussed in the last chapter that how Arjun was thinking about me and mine. me, how will I enjoy, and my, they are all my relatives. So when we are thinking of me and my, then we are very selfish. So that is why, because of that selfishness, it is leading to frustration and indecisiveness.
So now we will, yes. So now we will come to a very, very important verse. We are also coming toward the end of this session. So I want you to bring back your focus and be free from all distractions. This is a very, very important verse. This is laying the foundation of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay?
कार्पण्य दोषोपहता स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्म सम्मूढचेतः यच्छ्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम्.
So this verse is spoken by Arjuna and he's saying, now I'm confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So Arjuna is making a very good analysis. He's saying, I'm confused about my duty. I'm a Kshatriya. So I'm confused about my duty. Should I go ahead with this war or not? And he's saying, I'm not able to decide because I've lost my composure because of miserly weakness. So he's saying, I'm in a very helpless state. Krishna, please help me. In this condition, I'm asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. So there are many devotees I know, they pray to the Lord that you please guide me in the right direction. So this is how Arjuna is praying. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So let's look at the key insights. It's a very important verse. Arjuna has surrendered to Krishna and Arjuna's life is about to dramatically change.
So this is a memory verse also. Those of you who want to memorize the verses, this is very important verse to remember.
So here we see that Arjuna is very clearly talking about his perplexity. He's saying, I'm confused about my duty. I don't know what is dharma, adharma, to follow the Artha Shastra or to follow Dharma Shastra, because whatever I'm quoting, you are not agreeing with it. I am not able to identify what is right or wrong, what is proper or improper. I am perplexed, right? And you will notice that actually this is a situation in life. Every now and then we constantly come across one challenge after another challenge after another challenge, and sometimes we don't know whether this is proper or that is proper, and we take a call based on whatever we think is right, but whether God approves of that choice or not, we don't know. And second, he's saying that because of miserly weakness, and third is that Arjuna is surrendering. So if you are not sure, so then don't take a decision. Consult a higher spiritual authority. Consult Bhagavad Gita. Consult devotees who are guiding you. Consult Supreme Lord. Right? Take guidance. So that guidance cannot come unless we surrender. We voluntarily surrender to the Supreme Lord, to Bhagavad Gita, and seek guidance. So that's why surrender is very, very important.
So we saw here that despite using all, see, we saw in chapter 1 that Arjun was using all the possible reasoning. He said Dharma Shastra, he quoted Artha Shastra, he said what is moral, what is immoral. But till the time he surrenders to Krishna, he is not able to take any decision. So finally, he has reached at the peak point where he is saying that I am a soul surrendered unto you. Now you please tell me for sure, what should I do?
So we have a life lesson coming up. Shelter of Krishna is the only progressive way in life, as the perplexities will keep changing form and rampantly attacking us and rampantly attack us. So as I said earlier also, problems will only change their face. Sometimes the problem is coming from office, sometimes the problem is coming from the body, some disease, sometimes from a family member, sometimes from the spouse, sometimes from the children. Problems will not stop. This is material world. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Problems will not stop. right? So shelter of Krishna is the only progressive way of life. Actually, that is the only way out. There is no other way out.
So problem will not stop, but the class will stop because it is 12:01. So we will stop the session here and we will continue. So there are 3 more verses left in this session, which we will complete in the next session. Plus we will take the next 10 verses in the next session. So before you all log out, there is one very, very important announcement. Today evening 5 to 6, we do not have the live Q&A session because we are bringing up something extremely wonderful and out of the world experience for all of you. So 7:20 p.m. tonight, we are going live from ISKCON Chennai and we will be showing you the Damodar Aarti Utsav. So there you would find Yashoda Damodar deities are installed. I hope that all of you saw the Damodar Leela session yesterday. So like today is the mark or the beginning of this Damodar or Kartik month. And yesterday, to mark this occasion, we had a special session where we discussed about the glories of Damodar month and how to observe it. So hope you have seen. If not, recording is available at our YouTube channel. So we request you to go back and check the recording so that you are well prepared, your consciousness is prepared to welcome this holiest of all month. So to mark it today evening, so what happens in this month is every evening we offer a ghee lamp to Yashoda Damodar. So today evening we will go live from the temple and we request all of you to have your lamps ready at your homes. And you can actually virtually offer the lamp when we are showing you the Yashoda Damodar Aarti.
Yeah, please make a note of this point that you have to keep your ghee lamps ready at 7:20 p.m. today evening. And as we will take you live from the temple, you can actually offer your lamps, of course, virtually to the Supreme Lord.
So it will be a very fascinating experience. I remember when I attended this Damodar Aarti in the temple for the first time, it is such a unique experience because all the lights of the temple would be off, only the deepam would be, and some lights in the altar would be on. So only the deity of the focus and complete focus there on the deity. So it's a very wonderful experience, half an hour, 7:20 to 7:50 or maximum 8 o'clock. So looking forward to see all of you there. And we would stop. Okay, so so we are officially ending the session now. Thank you all very much for your patient attendance and enthusiastic participation. And now we are available for next half an hour for our share and care session. So those of you who have to leave, we are very happy to have you here and we will see you today evening at 7:20 p.m. Indian Standard Time.
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande.
So we can see many hands are up and we will